All right. Well, hello and welcome to our very first episode of The Operational Edge. This is a podcast where we're going to dive into the world of industrial automation and process optimization. I'm Marsha Wisely.
And I'm David Lee. We're thrilled to have you with us on this journey for a new adventure for us. This is our first episode. We're going to take a little bit of time just to introduce ourselves and share a bit about what we do and some of our interests and maybe some of our background.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I guess, David, do you want to kick us off and just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of, I guess, how we know each other?
Yeah, so Marsha and I met about 5 years ago when we both worked for Emerson. And we ended up doing the same job after a while, so we both became solutions consultants, but neither of us started out that way. My background is I'm an automation engineer and operations manager. Spent 20 years doing that and then went into consulting. So I've been an operator performance consultant for the last 20 years or so. And Marsha, you have a different background.
Yeah, a little bit. So, I started in chemical engineering and ended up doing process automation for a while. Spent some time on site doing startups. Really focused less on, I would say, like loop tuning and more on procedural automation. And then after a while went into business development, just kind of wanted to understand more about the industry, and then into product marketing, and then into solution consulting. So I've got a broad spectrum of different experiences across process automation and simulation, because before all of that, I actually was a process simulation engineer. So I like doing different things, I guess, and just continuing to kind of play around in the industry. There's certainly a lot to learn. So
A shout out to all the chemical engineers. It's a great degree to get you into many different things. I mean,
yeah,
as you can tell from our
yeah,
background, it's not always an easy path. Not necessarily an easy path, but a straight line, if you like. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, we take one or two process controls classes in school, but it is interesting how much the chemical engineering background can help, especially on the procedural automation side and loop tuning and stuff, because if you understand the process better, it makes it that much easier. A lot of double E's go into process automation, and either way you come in, there's always a gap, right? You either don't have the process knowledge or you don't have the electrical background, and you walk in the door not knowing what what an IO is, right? So,
yeah, I must admit, process control was not my favourite class. So it was surprising that I got into it in the end.
yeah,
So a little too much mathematics in there. But as an engineer, I guess you expect that. But,
yeah.
yeah.
But I will say I haven't done a Laplace transform in a very long time. So, it kind of depends on which angle you take as to how much, or what kind of math anyway, that you end up actually doing. So.
Yeah. No, and hopefully I never will. So we'll
Good.
see if that works out. But yeah, so I mean, those sorts of foundational elements help us just understand the engineering aspect, but I guess our experience helps us understand the operational part of it. So it's good
Yeah,
to experience both sides of that.
for sure. Yeah. So I guess, so David, you sit out on the East Coast, right? So you're are you in the Carolinas?
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina. Bit of a long journey to get here. I started out in the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent. Um, I moved to Florida nearly 25 years ago, and you can imagine that was a big change from the UK. It was suddenly sunny and warm and wet and rainy, so it didn't take a lot to persuade us to stay.
Yeah.
And then gradually moved north. So I was in Georgia and now North Carolina, and I think because of the snow, I'm not moving any further north. So, so you
Yeah.
get more of that where you are.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I sit in St. Louis, which anybody who has grown up in St. Louis knows it's a very sticky city. So I in 2018, 18 or so, I was like, you know what, I want to go try to, move around, understand more about, see if I want to live somewhere else, do some different things. So I ended up working on site did like an 8-month stint, helping with a startup in Louisiana, much more humid than it is here, but very cool. Spent a lot of time in New Orleans, loved that city. And then moved to Austin for a while as part of some of my career journey. But a lot of people leave St. Louis and then come right back. It's a very, like I said, I would call it a sticky city, in that like your people are here, they might leave for a minute, but a lot of us come back. And so when my friends started getting married and having families and doing all this stuff, I was like, wait, hold up. Don't leave without me. So I had to come back and get back with my family and my friends. And so it's been good to be back since about 2020. So.
It's funny how a lot of careers somehow end up either working or living in Texas and the Gulf Coast. If you're in this industry,
at
that's
some
where most
point,
of it is.
yeah.
But,
It's a lot of really good experiences, right? Even if you don't end up staying there the whole time, right? There's a lot to see and do. I was in Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is very industrial. They just have so much. At the time, they had a lot of construction. I assume that they were really big projects. I assume some of that's still going on, but very, very busy during that time with all of the work that was going on.
there continues to be a lot of investment down there.
Yes.
A lot of startup companies, a lot of the green companies and things like that tend to be down there too. I guess the local resources and feeds and so on is available to them. So yeah, a lot of activity down there.
Yeah. Well, and I think like Lake Charles, especially, like you can actually get to the Gulf. There are paths between the lake and the Gulf, and so that access seemed highly valuable. And I don't think I really realized it until my dad came down for Father's Day while I was down there, and we went fishing, and we saw dolphins in the lake we were fishing in because they just swam up the channels along with all of the boats coming up to make deliveries or pick up. So very cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good if you like the outdoor life. I mean, a lot of people in Louisiana like the hunting and fishing, so it's a good location for that.
Yeah, or for me, it was the food. I love some Cajun food, and so it was probably, other than the people, because I met a really great team of people while I was down there, and I'm very lucky to still know them. And other than that, though, the food was peak. It was a lot of hours on, but then when you got off, you crawfish boils and etouffee and all of that. So.
Yeah, I went to many years ago, and I went to a Chinese buffet, and they had eat all you can crawfish night, and I'd never seen crawfish in a Chinese restaurant to start with, but then the piles of I guess shells that were on each of the tables was amazing. So but I also like the Cajun food, so that's good.
Yeah.
But,
No, it's good. So are you much of a foodie?
I am, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge at times, right? We gotta keep ourselves in check.
Yeah. If you travel for business, like both of us do, it's a tough challenge. And but I think it's getting better. There's better offerings in restaurants, but still, tasty stuff is still bad for you. So,
It's true. Yeah. Well, and because when we travel, sometimes we're going to remote places. Like I've spent a good amount of my career in Iowa, and like you said, it's changing. It's getting better. Like some of my time was in Cedar Rapids, and they have some pretty cool. They have like a place that has all kinds of different restaurants. It's very cool. But yeah, sometimes you just end up in the town that has a sandwich shop, and sometimes it's a great sandwich shop, but that's it can be a little bit of a challenge when you're used to having more variety.
just ask the locals; they know where to go. There's a little hole in the wall restaurants you'd never go to. But,
or the town 20 minutes away that it's like it's just worth it. Just
Yeah. So I guess as we set out on this, tell us a little bit about your company, about what you're doing today.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I kind of rolled out PlantWise Industrial Consulting, which is my company, and our goal is really to take a holistic approach to process simulation. So I mentioned earlier that my background is in automation and simulation, and I think digital twins are a technology that get a lot of buzz. It's it's very exciting. It's interesting. There's a lot you can do with it, but like many kind of digitally transformational different technologies, deploying them in a manageable and valuable way is not always straightforward,
Hmm.
and it's kind of different for every customer. And so the goal with PlantWise is to not only provide sort of SME support and bring that technical knowledge to our customers, but to really like embed ourselves in the team and make sure that during the design we're really identifying, okay, what do you really need in order to solve your problem? Is this a phased approach? Should it all happen at once? And then once we kind of work through the project, make sure that the customer is involved enough, or whoever they want to do their life cycle, so that it can be maintained over time. I have seen many times in my career where a simulation is used for the project, highly valuable during the project, and then it sort of becomes the equivalent of a virtual paperweight, just
Hmm.
because the maintenance, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have the team that has the skills, it's easy to fall out of sync. So helping to make sure that it the deliverable continues to deliver, right,
Hmm.
and it doesn't end at the end of the project. So that's kind of what I'm doing with PlantWise, and then we've got a few other things in the works as well. So
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think that's where we saw synergy between our companies. I work for
right.
User-Centered Design Services. We're an operator performance company, so we look at any aspect that impacts the operator, from control room design, HMI alarm management, but also simulation and training. And as Marsha says, there's lots of challenges out there. It's not new, but people are still struggling on how to apply it. And really the effect of digital transformation on operators is not something that people think about. And so this was the brainchild of Marsha to set up these podcasts to really talk about those sorts of issues and how we can address them in industry, and maybe some of the leading edge and stuff that's out there, and maybe help people get understanding or get some feedback from people on what they see there. So I think it's a great opportunity to discuss and have people interact with us.
Yeah, and I think this kind of more informal environment is something that I really enjoy. Like these kinds of technical topics. Some of the best conversations that I've had have been like over a cubicle, or like on the off hours
Hmm.
during an FAT, or in just networking conversations with people, because you don't have the pressure of the project. We don't have, it can be hard in a sales environment where like, it can feel like you're on two different sides of the fence. That in
Hmm.
a consulting role, like that's never the goal, but like it can feel that way. And so to have this kind of less formal environment, where we're truly just talking about these topics to better our understanding and get different ideas, share with one another, seemed like a kind of a cool opportunity to not only talk between myself and David, but also to bring in other topics and perhaps other guests to be able to get those different perspectives and have those kind of I I'll call them fun. When you're in engineering, to be able to kind of play with these ideas and troubleshoot and solve problems together, that is the fun part to me, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. I think that, as you say, bringing in other people, bringing some other experts in. We've been around for a little while, but we don't know everything. I mean, it's such a big
it's true.
topic, and things are ever changing. Technologies are changing. Um, when I started out, an operator had a bicycle. He had a clipboard with a pen. He had a persuader, right, a big wrench that he
Yeah.
would open valves with, and we moved on. I mean, the world isn't like that anymore. So small steps maybe, but it's a completely different operating environment today. So,
Yeah. And well, and different across industries too, right? Like industrial automation, I feel like is such an interesting space because
mhm,
it really does span, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, chemical,
mhm,
pulp and paper, and so when it touches that many things, right? What's happening in pharma is unique to what's happening in oil and gas in certain aspects.
mhm.
Sometimes it's for good reason, and there's no reason to sort of bring additional complexity into one area just because. But sometimes there is stuff to learn from the other industries, and so this space is a great opportunity to identify, how can the different industries learn from one another as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And industries like discrete manufacturing get very little attention for these types of applications, and there's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah,
So there's whole rafts of industries and even different areas of the world, different aspects to the automation space. So, yeah.
well, I think with that, that kind of brings us to the end of our first episode of The Operational Edge. I hope you enjoyed kind of getting to know us a little bit and where we're thinking about going with this. It's going to be, today was really focused on us, but moving forward, we'll dig deeper into some other topics.
Yep. So the next episode will be more technically focused, and we really start looking at the question of why. Why should we do some of these things? So is it unplanned downtime? Is it safety? Whatever it might be. But what are the reasons why we should adopt some of these technologies and maybe discuss some of these things that we've been touching on today?
Exactly. So you won't want to miss it. We're going to be looking at different insights and strategies and applications as we kind of work through this podcast. The first topic that we're going to look into in a little bit of depth is the hidden costs or behind unplanned downtime. It is something that we experience across the industry. It's something that I know both David and I have heard challenges from our customers in terms of the downtime, but like how much is it really costing, and what is the root cause of that? There isn't a lot of research out there, so we're going to kind of dig into that and cover that in our first episode, or well,
Yeah.
next episode, right?
Yeah. And please subscribe to the Operational Edge. Leave us a review if you have any suggestions for us or any thoughts of future topics. We'd love to hear them. So please subscribe to that.
And thanks again for tuning in. We can't wait to take this journey with you, and we will see you next time.
Great. Thanks. Take care, everyone.